GM, good morning. Welcome to the Milk Road Show, the daily crypto show where we stuff our updates with value, just like that turkey on your table. I'm your host, Jay Hamilton, and today we're joined by Sam MacPherson, CEO of Phoenix Labs and key contributor to Spark, the first star or sub-DAO within the newly rebranded Sky ecosystem, also known as Maker. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a few different things. First, we're going to talk about stablecoins and the future of yield-bearing stablecoins or savings account-based stablecoins, something that the market has not really captured yet, but there is opportunities to get between 8 to upwards of 20% yield on stablecoins. We're going to talk about how Maker, Sky, and Spark are participating in that. We're also going to talk about how these stablecoins are starting to go multi-chain and what chains are on and how much that is important for their growth. Then we're going to talk about Spark's revenue, and you guys are going to be blown away. They've doubled their projected annual revenue in the last month. We're going to dive into what's behind that. And then at the end, we're going to talk about Spark's new liquidity layer launch, which is leading to an incredible revenue opportunity for them in the long term. We're going to break that down. Today's episode is a part of a bigger series of episodes that we've done for you guys because we are really big fans of Maker, and Spark is a key contributor within the Maker ecosystem. They don't have their own token yet, but we're going to touch on that at the end of the episode about how they're launching their own token. But we've done 3 episodes here. This is the third in a 3-part series. First, we did an episode with Paper Imperium, who is a former contributor to Maker, and he gave his bear case, his honest take on why he decided to exit Maker. Then we did an episode with Martin, researcher for Milk Road Pro, where we gave our thesis and our take on investing on Maker. Hint, we're bullish. We are not on Paper Imperium's side. We think differently, which is why we think investing in Maker is a great opportunity right now. And then we have today's episode with Sam to talk about Spark in order to give you guys a full, balanced approach and review for your investing so you can make your own decisions and feel safe and feel good. Before we jump in, it's Thanksgiving, and I'm so thankful for all of you. I just need you all to know, every one of you listening, I wouldn't be able to do this show every day without you. Our team, everybody at Milk Road, are so grateful for you today and every day of the year. I hope you all have a fantastic Thanksgiving if you're celebrating. If not, still thankful and grateful for you every day. Also, thankful and grateful for our sponsors who make this show possible. Meanwhile is the world's first licensed and regulated life insurance company built for the Bitcoin economy. They do everything in BTC. You pay in BTC, they pay claims to your family in BTC. You take out policy loans entirely in BTC when you need liquidity. Protect your family from life's uncertainty and a broken financial system. Build intergenerational Bitcoin wealth while the cost of living skyrockets in dollar terms. Plus, get all the tax and legal benefits of life insurance now in Bitcoin. Visit milkroad.com/meanwhile to join the waitlist and get early access to the world's first Bitcoin life insurance. Whether you're bullish or bearish on MicroStrategy, T-Rex ETFs are your gateway to dynamic market plays. Get exclusive access to leveraged exposures with the first 2 times short or 2 times long ETFs designed specifically for MicroStrategy stock. Position yourself with precision. With T-Rex, you gain access to powerful tools for sophisticated investors. Sam, welcome to the Milk Road Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you, my man. A fellow Torontonian, a fellow Canadian. I love to see it. Let's start with USDS plays a very interesting role, USDS being the stablecoin that was launched this past summer. It plays a very interesting role in the stablecoin market as a yield-bearing stablecoin, a stablecoin which gives you currently 8.5% yield. Now, within today's market, 90% of the stablecoins are basically not yield-bearing. They're centralized stablecoins, USDC and USDT, controlling most of the market. What role do you think stablecoins like USDS or DAI play in the long term of decentralized finance when we look at most of the market just wanting these non-yield bearing stablecoins right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I would say I differentiate the stablecoin market into 2 main categories. So there's the one that I think people are more familiar with, which is Tether and USDC, which are more like, this is the non-yielding stablecoins. These are fiat-backed. And like, although there is some, they do offer a yield sometimes behind KYC. When I'm talking about yield bearing, I'm talking about permissionless yield bearing stablecoins. So then we can get into why, like what exactly that means. So the fiat-backed stablecoins, that is connected into either the US banking system or the offshore banking system in the case of Tether. That is the first step of bringing dollars on chain at a large scale. You have this next layer that is further down the stack, which is on the on-chain. You can think of it like the on-chain banking system, where people can deposit into various stablecoin offerings. And the name of the game here is yield. So how much, what is the best risk-adjusted scalable yield that can be provided on chain? And USDS has been a leader here, as still remaining the largest, I would call this a decentralized stablecoin, where it exists entirely on chain and is there to optimize the yield for the end user, such that they can get this relatively safe yield at a very large scale. So for example, like USDS is offering 8.5% right now. It's about to actually go up to 9.5% next week. And it's able to sustainably deliver this yield to users from a combination of the loans that it's issuing. So because we are entering like a bull market part of the cycle, the yields go up in DeFi. So Sky USDS is able to rebalance the loan portfolio to maximize the yield on the user's behalf. So you still have access to these dollars that you want to use for payments and everything else. But while your money's sitting in your wallet, why not be earning this yield on top of it? And so otherwise you're being inflated away. So this market of decentralized yield-bearing stablecoins, I think it is a very important, distinct market from the more common ones, Tether and USDC.
And I just want to be clear, because I can hear the voices of our listeners right now screaming at me saying, are you talking about algorithmic stablecoins and Luna from the last cycle? And their like alarm bells are going off, because I get it, guys. You know, last time you might have heard somebody giving you yield, like, you know, I mean, 9.5% is much more reasonable, but you hear things like 20% yield and you might think, whoa, like is this legit? But I want to be very clear. This is not an algorithmic stablecoin like Luna. This is very different. And as Sam said, these yields are based upon real numbers. This is not fake yield. This is legit. This yield goes up and down as the market goes up and down. So it's 9.5. It'll be 9.5 next week, you said, Sam? It's amazing that it's going up again. 9.5% yield just for holding money. Like that's
sustainable.
Wild.
Yeah.
And it's sustainable. Okay, great. So let's just talk about USDS for a second. And let's talk about DAI, because I want to understand the difference. So you launched USDS in the summer. You're at almost a billion TVL now. I think somewhere 800, 900 million TVL. DAI is just over 4 billion TVL. What's the plan here? Is the plan to keep both of these stable coins long term? Or is the plan to focus more on one versus the other? How do these two fit together?
Yeah, so DAI is the legacy version of USDS, and really, actually, both of them are the same asset fundamentally. So it's more important to look at the collective market cap between the two, which is about 5.3 billion as of right now. So the reason for the switch to USDS is primarily looking at the next order of magnitude in growth. So DAI has been very popular over the years within DeFi. People know and love it. It's been tried and tested. DAI was originally launched in 2019. So 5 years now, that's like an eternity in crypto. We've survived bull and bear markets. The model is pretty well proven. So USDS is looking at the future, and some of the issues with the original brand is that, I mean, mainly it doesn't have USD in the name. So it's actually hard to convey to people what the product you're selling is if like it's not that self-explanatory. So spending a bit of pain in the short term to position ourselves for the long term. yes, we are a USD stablecoin, so having USD in the name makes a lot of sense. These were the primary motivations of the rebrand.
And so let's talk about who's the ideal user of USDS. And I want to understand, because the easy comparison, the only comparison that I can really make for USDS is Athena. And Athena is different. I mean, the main difference is their stablecoin yield right now is 25%, which feels more like alarm bells going off, but seems to also be a more sustainable yield. What is Athena a competitor to USDS, or is USDS going after a different type of customer? How do you fit those two together?
I view these as somewhat different products. Although there is some element of competition, I think the market is so young that it's still a very collaborative environment right now. So yeah, I mean, yield is one of the metrics you look at, but like there are other things you need to take into account. So first of all, yield in absolute numbers is not that important. You need to look at risk-adjusted yield. So you know, maybe somebody's offering 100% yield on something, doesn't mean like that's instantly better, right? Like there are dangerous things out there. So what we would differentiate from say a product like Athena on is liquidity. So USDS is aiming more for this middle ground where we are not aiming to maximize the yield to the utmost degree. We're trying to sit more in this middle ground where USDC on the one hand has some of the largest liquidity on chain, but they do not offer a yield. Whereas Athena is maximizing for maximum yield, but their liquidity on chain is quite limited. So we're more in this middle ground where USDS will offer, I would say, one of the best risk-adjusted yields in the space. But also, USDS holds over $1 billion in USDC in immediately available liquidity at all times, and it strives to keep 25% reserve so that people can treat it pretty much like USDC. USDC has a lot of great properties for payments and exiting into fiat and all this kind of stuff. So these are complementary products, I view them as. So as a user, if you're sitting in USDC and you're not earning any yield, you could just pop right into the savings USDS, start earning this soon to be 9.5% yield. And then you have this confidence that there's this over $1 billion sitting there that you can exit into USDC at whenever you like.
Okay, very interesting. That's super helpful. There was a big announcement that came out in the past few weeks, which was that USDS has now gone multi-chain, now available on Solana, available on some of the L2s as well. How important is it for USDS to be available on these other chains?
It's extremely important. So Ethereum has been on the roll-up centric roadmap for a while now. So the idea is that more and more of the users will be on like L2s and stuff like that, as well as we see new players in the space like a Solana, which are offering great UX to users. So there's no reason, like historically, USDS and DAI have been constrained to Ethereum with limited access to the other chains. But that's changing. So we want to be present everywhere. So people who are on, say, Base and they have USDC, they should also be able to get access to this 9.5% yield at basically any size. So you have $50 million. You want to move it into the savings rate. That's perfectly fine. We want to facilitate that. You want to use Base. You want to use Arbitrum. You want to use Solana. Like these are all great.
Yeah, especially right now when so much of the activity happening is on Solana and Base. And we just did an episode that we released today all about Base and what's going on there. And I mean, I don't need to tell anybody that Solana's doing well. Everybody knows that. Thanks, Pump.fun and meme coins. Okay, let's go to, I want to talk about Spark's revenue. And I'm going to bring up a chart here to show what's going on. So you guys can see, this is a little bit small. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so this is Spark's estimated annual revenue. And if I look a month ago, so I'm looking at October 30th, it was 108 million. And here we are a month later at November 28th, 240 million estimated annual revenue. What's happened in the past month to more than double your annual revenue?
Yeah, so this speaks to what we're developing at Spark, which we call the Spark liquidity layer, which is investing all across all opportunities, not even just in DeFi, but within TradFi. So we have treasury bill backing, we have crypto lending market backing, we have centralized exchange purpose protocol access. And so basically, we just have access to the entire landscape, and we're able to move the balance sheet into whatever the best yielding opportunity is. And so during times when like the crypto market is like in a bear market, maybe allocating that into treasury bills is the optimal path. But when we're now entering what appears to be the first part of a bull market, the DeFi rates and the crypto lending rates skyrocket. And so we're able to jump on that very quickly and rotate the balance sheet into the best yield. And so end users who are sitting in the savings rate, this is why the savings rate can go up to 9.5% and potentially even beyond, because we do all the hard work of distilling this yield within all these opportunities and distilling it down to this savings product that's just on every chain, and you don't even have to think about it. And you, as a user sitting in USDC, can just start getting this sustainable yield and just park your idle funds there. And so, with the knowledge that we will work on your behalf to deliver this best possible risk-adjusted yield.
Yeah, fantastic. It's amazing just to like think about the comparison to a bank here, because banks are also doing exactly what you're saying on our behalf, but they're just not passing on nearly as much to us, the end user. Like you're getting, I mean, it depends on what your savings account is. You're getting 1%, maybe 1.5% yield, right? Whereas in DeFi and in crypto world, we're getting much better yields, and hopefully that is, the future that we all see. I want to talk about Spark Liquidity Layer, which you brought up, which is a fantastic product that I'm really excited to touch on. Before we do, I also just need to bring up this tweet that you guys put out, I think yesterday or just the other day, just to show how much you guys are really dominating DeFi right now. Sparkland is the highest TVL growth over 24 hours, 7-day, and 30-day time frame. That's just incredible. And do you foresee this continuing? Is this a moment in time?
No, I mean, I've been through bull markets in the past, and they always blow you away. So it looks like we're going through this like exponential growth phase again. So I expect this trend to just continue as USDS is the largest decentralized stablecoin, and as such, we have access to the most liquidity. And so especially in bull markets, when people are just borrowing US dollars as much as possible to leverage up because they know the prices are going to go up. This is where we're really shining. So we are the best facility in DeFi right now at scale to be able to lever up at huge scale. And so this is why we're seeing these massive growth numbers. But I do expect this to continue as the bull continues.
Incredible. And I think everybody listening knows, our belief is the bull is just getting started. We've still got a solid 6 to 18 months ahead. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how long it'll last, but somewhere in that range, I think. Okay, let's talk about Spark Liquidity Layer, or SLL for short. Can you give us the, as if we were a 4-year-old explanation first of Spark Liquidity Layer?
Sure. Maybe it helps to run through the history of how we've done lending in the past. And I guess I'll focus on Spark. So Spark originally launched with its own internal lending market we call Sparkland. And this is actually the metrics that you were pointing at. Is Sparkland is our flagship product, second largest lending market. And the reason it's had such explosive growth is because of its relationship to Sky and USDS liquidity. So Sky, Spark as the star is able to borrow from Sky at this wholesale borrow rate at huge scale. So like we're talking billions of dollars, and it's able to borrow this just when it's needed. And so this has solved an issue that a lot of lending markets in DeFi have, where somebody may borrow on this lending market and then there's not enough liquidity. So the rates will go up like maybe even double digits, 15%, 20%. and this is very painful for borrowers. And there's this uncertainty about when a stablecoin lender is going to come in at size and then deliver more liquidity to the market. So Spark liquidity layer is the generalization of this whole structure, in that the observation is that this issue plagues every DeFi lending protocol. And so Spark liquidity layer will aim to watch the market, see when a user uses chain X with protocol Y, and maybe let's use concrete examples. Say somebody wants to use Aave on Base and they want to borrow 20 million in USDC against their ETH to lever up. That user, there may not be that much liquidity on that market. So if that user, maybe they can't even borrow 20 million, and maybe they can only borrow 5 million. And then if they borrow that 5 million, the rates spike and there's this like waiting for people to come in. So the Spark liquidity layer is the person that comes in with guarantees. So precisely because of our differentiation in the market, and we have all this excess liquidity, we're able to observe this person borrowing on Aave on Base and just move USDC over to Base and then deposit it into the Aave lending market on Base from Ethereum mainnet. And so the idea is that this is the general structure that we will just supply liquidity across all the lending markets, such that users, previously there was this concern about liquidity fragmentation, where users have to look, oh, I can only go on Ethereum, I can only go on Arbitrum, I have to like look around and see which protocols have the most liquidity, and there's just a whole bunch of calculus here. And now with the Spark liquidity layer in place, you don't have to care about this anymore. You can go use Aave on Base and just borrow, and just know that within the transport time of Circle's cross-chain messaging protocol, which is about 20 minutes, within 20 minutes you're going to get more liquidity coming in, so that your rate will balance across the entire ecosystem. So this is a pretty pivotal change, because liquidity fragmentation is still like a huge issue. And so we aim to solve this. So it's going to hugely improve the UX for borrowers. And then on the lending side, as I mentioned before, we also export this yield cross chain, so that if you want to lend your stable coins, you no longer have to be like, I want to lend, the rates are at 15% on Aave, they're like 7% on Morpho. I have to decide this, and there's all this calculus. You don't need to think about it anymore. Just stick it in the savings USDS, and then we do all the complex behavior on the back end of balancing across all DeFi. And this system is entirely automated.
Wow, it's just I don't think people really realize this is one of the things that happens in bull markets, is fundamentals go out the window and pumpamentals win, and all everybody cares about is the hype, basically. And unfortunately, the nerdy stuff, which is really the stuff that is going to impact the world long term, such as what Spark liquidity layer, goes unnoticed, and nobody celebrates it like they should. But this is absolutely huge. And this is, you already have deployed Spark liquidity layer. I'm just going to bring up another chart here. It's a little bit small, but I'll try to zoom in. If you guys can see here at the bottom screen. So you've deployed $9.4 million. I think this is on Base that you guys have done this, and you're getting 5.2% APY for an estimated annual revenue of just below $500,000. And my guess is that this is just the beginning. This deploy number is likely to go up considerably in the next few months. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So this is a soft launch, and these numbers are about to scale up quite a bit, like in the next month. So like this is just a test. This is just a test amount. So we're really going to be rolling this out in size in Q1, and so people are going to just see the effects like very quickly.
So from the borrower side, like what the opportunity that the thing that you're really giving to the entire market here is a simple way to get a sustainable yield, 9.5% right now on USDS, that is not fully risk-free, but a very safe risk-adjusted yield. Hey, come hold USDS, get this yield, don't have to go down the DeFi curve. You know, great for a lot of our listeners. Everyone, you know, guys and gals listening, you can tell me how many of you are using DeFi. But from what I understanding, not every one of you is using DeFi, but everybody's gonna be taking profits in this cycle. And when you take profits, you're going to move out into stable coins. Now you might go into fiat if you need fiat for something, but I'm going to guess a lot of them are going to hold money on chain. What are you going to hold your on chain money in? Well, you're going to hold it in something that gives you yield, I would assume, or at least a good part of it. And here is just an incredible opportunity to receive yield that is, safe is not the exact right word, but risk adjusted.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you have to park your funds somewhere, and taking no yield doesn't make any sense. I mean, you should at least be taking what's called the risk-free rate, which is currently about 4.6%. But then even beyond that, there's this like optimal threshold where you can capture like most of the pretty easy yield and still not increase your risk by all that much. So yeah, we would call it like one of the safest yields in DeFi that's available.
Okay, let's talk about Spark Token. So you are planning to launch Spark Token. Don't exactly know when, but I'm assuming sometime in 2025. I don't know if you can give us any ideas around timeline. You have right now an active opportunity for people to farm the token by participating. Can you talk to us a little bit about the token? And we don't need to go deep into the tokenomics or anything like that, but give us an overview of the token, maybe timeline, and how people can farm that right now.
Yeah, sure. And so actually you can access all of the stuff we've been talking about on spark.fi, so that we have an app there. So you can access the savings rate and all of that. But so on the lending market side, as I mentioned before, we have this lending market called Spark Lend, which was the first product that we launched, the thing that's breaking all these TVL numbers now. So on there, we are offering a pre-farming airdrop for SBK. So as of right now, you can deposit ETH and then borrow DAI, and then use that for whatever you want. Most people use it for leveraging their ETH so they can get more exposure to the bull market. So if you do this, we have a counter that's going to count your exposure there and will give you an SBK airdrop. There is also another one that's running on Aave, our friends at Aave, like their main lending market. You can deposit USDS and also earn some SBK there. So that's the early access availability. You can access that right now. Once the token launches, there will be farms that will generate. And SBK is actually a fairly unique token because unlike other tokens that have VC backing, that have like all these pre-allocations, 80% of the SBK allocation goes out in a fair launch distribution. So people can deposit USDS and then get the SBK proportional to the USDS that they deposit into that farm. And 80% of the supply goes out this way that anybody has equal access to. So we think this is a very novel thing. Fair launch is very important right now, and so we want users to be aware of this.
Yeah, this is huge, and we've talked so much on the show about low float, high FDV projects and tokens. And if you guys have been listening to the show, you know they've been talking about it for I feel like a year now. And this is one of the issues that a lot of projects are in, particularly a lot of the large chains and the large protocols that got VC funding. And they have all these token unlocks and the supply. You look at their FDV, and the FDV is like 10 times, 100 times their market cap. And it's like, okay, wait a second. Like you're buying off of the VCs in that case. So there's not as much opportunity. And then meme coins came along and everyone was like, sweet, let's just go for meme coins. Even though there's absolutely zero fundamentals there. So I don't know if not for me, but sure, for some others. Okay. I wanted to chat quickly about the relationship between Aave and Maker, because this is a very interesting relationship. And if my understanding is that essentially there was a fork of Aave in order to create Spark. Can you explain what the relationship is there and how this relationship works?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been good friends with Aave. Like we've worked with them like since basically we started. So yeah, we forked Sparkland out of Aave. The reason we launched Sparkland in the first place actually was the noticing that Maker has its own legacy vault system where people could collateralize DAI positions, but there was just like missing some features. So like for example, letting people who deposit ETH, that ETH in Maker was locked. So you couldn't get a yield on top of it. Once liquid staking tokens came out, it became important for capital efficiency reasons to be able to let people borrow that ETH that's locked up. So that didn't exist. And Aave, we compared a few lending markets at the time, and Aave v3, which had just come out at that time, was ticking all the boxes. And they had introduced this new E mode that none of the other lending markets had, which we knew E-mode is basically high leverage. So we wanted to use this for the ETH collateral. And so we knew this was going to be a very hot thing. And so this is why we decided to go with Aave for this. And so we made a proposal to them with a revenue share. So, and they accepted that shortly after we announced the launch of Spark. And yeah, so it's been a collaborative environment ever since. And as I mentioned, we are running a SPK allocation on their main market. They integrated USDS shortly after launch into the flagship Aave v3 lending market, which is the largest lending market in DeFi. And so, and then we have been running campaigns with them in collaboration. This has been, maybe you've seen it, this is the Sky Aave Force. So yes, there is element of competition with all these things, but the space is just so small, it makes much more sense to be collaborating and growing the pie together.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's so much opportunity. Okay, I want to touch on a few of the things going back to the episode we did with Paper Imperium. And he talked about a few of the challenges that are presented to Maker, not specifically to Spark, but to Maker and the broader, or Sky and the broader ecosystem. And one of those was a belief that there's too much centralized decision making within Maker, and that Rune, the founder of Maker, has basically a group of his friends that they just do what he says. I want to give you a chance to address how decision making is made within Maker, and tell us if you feel that is a challenge, and if that's a challenge, is a natural challenge to wouldn't be a surprise if that is a challenge for an organization that has grown as rapidly as Maker has. But want to hear what your thoughts are from being a core contributor and seeing behind the scenes.
Yeah, sure. So previously I was part of the MakerDAO. We had more internal core, we call them core units. So I saw this DAO structure thing play out over the years, and it's still such a new structure of governance that I think we're still largely figuring it out. And so what was called the endgame proposal, this is a proposal that passed governance about 2 years ago, to looking at the failures of DAOs and trying to looking to restructure Maker such that it can actually become decentralized for real. And so we're right in the middle of that process. So the idea is that instead of having everybody in this very flat structure, all making proposals openly, and there's no, North Star direction or anything like that. It's just choose your own adventure, and it's too open. It's too prone to politics, and it's too prone to probably even corruption in the long run. And so the restructuring of Endgame makes it so that the core of now Sky was Maker at the time. Sky is that it's meant to be dead simple at the core. You can think of it, and it's not a bank, but I think it's a useful analogy in that Sky Core looks more like a central bank in this new paradigm, and then something like Spark or the other stars are more like commercial banks that interface with the users, have smaller teams, can move faster, and potentially even fail. So it's combining these two worlds that where you can really hit the sweet spot. And so under this new paradigm, Sky would have this rule set of here's the general rules about what you can do for lending, setting the kind of bank requirements. What are the junior capital requirements for safety of the core protocol? What are basically all the rules that will make it so that even if one of the stars goes completely off the rails, the core is still protected. And so then once these rules are set, the stars, Spark being one of them, are then free to decide to do whatever they want. So within the rules. So Spark can decide to go lend on Base, go lend on Aave, or maybe it wants to go do gaming or something like that. Like there's basically the playing, it's wide open canvas for each of the stars. And so then there you get specialization with the star. So then you have one star that's, for example, ours, that is focused on optimizing this yield generation across Ethereum and other places. But then you can have another star that's, say, focused on real world assets, traditional finance, this kind of stuff. These are completely different skill sets. Like my team is a developer team. We're experts in smart contracts. We are not experts in law and traditional finance. So it makes sense to segment these kinds of things. And so how this whole system forms a decentralized object is that you have enforcement from the top down, but it's just sort of like, are they following the rules? Yes or no? Okay, if they are, then let them do what they're going to do. And then you have competition between the stars, keeping them in check. So if there's corruption, mismanagement in any of the stars, the whole system is protected from this, because that star will just be not competitive with the other ones, and it will crash and burn. And that's perfectly okay. That's capitalism. We want that to happen.
Completely. It's a great answer. So Spark is the first star. Any idea of what we can expect in terms of more stars?
There will definitely be more stars, and I think they'll come quicker than people expect. But there's nothing public about that yet.
Nothing public yet. Okay. Yeah. And final thing I want to touch on is the rebrand from Maker to Star. Would love to get your honest take on it, because from the outside, it feels like it hasn't gone according to plan, and it might have caused more of a distraction than actually proven to solve the issues that Maker was having. It seems that there's more proposals coming up to maybe backtrack on some of it. Can you give us an update on where we are with the rebrand from Maker to Sky, and how you feel that's gone and where you think it'll go in the future?
Yeah, although I do notice on crypto Twitter, people love dunking on Maker and all this drama that's associated with it. For me, I'm always focused on the fundamentals, and like the fundamentals, as we went over in this episode, are just up and to the right. So like this is the most important thing, and to me that means like the rebrand was a success. We had USDS reaching $1 billion in like the fastest record time of any stablecoin that's ever launched. The total supply has been growing, and we've just been further optimizing the yield generation, which has been this positive feedback loop back to the suppliers to get them this good yield. So like my role, focused on Spark, is like just always build the fundamentals. The market will catch up, sentiment will catch up. Fundamentals are always the most important thing in my view.
Yeah, fantastic answer. You're just going to keep building, and everything's going great. And so don't worry about all the other stuff. Totally get that. Sam, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for your time today. Everybody listening in, I want to know how you guys are feeling about Maker, Sky, and Spark. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? What are you feeling? If you haven't gone back and listened to these other episodes that we've done, highly recommend you do, whether you're considering an investment in Maker or Sky, or whether you want to get involved in farming Spark. There's some great opportunities here with truly a project that probably has the best fundamentals within DeFi and is actually decentralized. Like actually leading the way in moving towards decentralization that no other project could even come close to competing with. So it's just fantastic to see. Sam, thanks again for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody listening in, have a wicked awesome day. As always, if you liked today's episode, please hit subscribe and make sure you follow us so you don't miss out on the next one. There's also a link in the description to our free 5-minute daily newsletter where we simplify crypto for you while making you laugh. And if you're willing to step up your crypto investing game, we're going to also leave a link for Milk Road Pro. You get access to our portfolio where you can see exactly what we are buying. This is your #1 resource to help you invest successfully in crypto. One final note, this show is for educational purposes only, and nothing we say is financial advice. Investing in crypto or any asset is risky, and you should never invest more than you can afford to lose. Thanks so much for listening in, my friends. Have a wicked awesome day.